Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm still on Western Cape paper, Metro Central Education District, Common Trial paper, grade 12, Geography paper 1. I've done 1.1 up to 1.4. I did 1.1 and 1.2 on one video, 1.3, one video, 1.4 on its own. Now I am moving on to 1.5. This will be the last for the day. I'm going on to 1.5. Refer to the extract based on Ebon Heat Islands. Refer to the extract based on Ebon Heat Island. So the concept that is being assessed here is Ebon Heat Island. This is the concept that is being assessed. Of course, we are going to go through this. We are going to go through this information through this extract, but the concept that is being assessed is Ebon Heat Island. What comes to your mind? Temperatures of the urban areas are higher than the surrounding rural areas. What are the reasons behind the difference in temperatures between, or difference in climate between the urban and the rural? We are looking at what makes up the surface of the urban areas, the artificial surfaces. We have got more industries and concrete surfaces and so on. This is what causes the difference between the temperatures in the urban area and the surrounding rural areas. Rural areas, more open spaces, and building density is very low as compared to the urban area. So you have to think of what the concept is all about when temperatures of urban areas are higher than the surrounding rural areas. That's number one. Of course, you have an idea of what it's all about. Then secondly, what causes the discrepancies or the difference in temperatures between the urban and the rural? That's when you are looking in terms of the artificial surfaces that you find within the urban. How do they contribute to higher temperatures as compared to the surrounding rural areas? So this is a concept. It's very easy to explore. Okay, let's go through this so that I don't waste much of your time. Thanks to a phenomena that makes urban areas hotter than their surrounding, cities such as Pretoria are as much as 6 degrees Celsius hotter than they could be. The heat comes from decades of poor planning. Obviously, they are starting now to highlight the reasons. Since the 1950s, the global focus of the city infrastructure planning has been on cars. The global focus of infrastructure planning has been on cars. Okay, what is the contribution of cars in as far as increase in high temperatures in urban areas is concerned? That's what should come to your mind. What they bring out through the exhaust fumes and all those things, this contributes to high temperatures within the urban areas. Okay. And getting many people as possible into tall buildings, skyscrapers, obviously, which means we have got high population density within the urban areas. We also have high building density within the urban areas. So those are contributing factors that they're trying to bring out indirectly. In South Africa, 6 big cities, this means tarred roads crisscrossing what could be the fields, big cement slabs providing parking for cars, high-rising apartment, office blocks, overcrowding their occupants. So all these are things that are found within the urban areas that are contributing to higher temperatures that we have in urban areas as compared to the rural areas. So this both creates and traps heat. Okay, now they are explaining now. This both creates and traps heat, which leads to urban heat island. So here they have summed up what urban heat island is all about and also what is causing it. They've summed up why temperatures in the urban areas are higher than the surrounding rural areas. That they've done that indirectly. So this is what you are going to use to answer some of the questions that you are going to come across through from 1.5.1 to 1.5.5. We'll see as we go through the question. This effect is worse at night with cities storing heat. Okay. What comes to your mind? Okay, city storing heat, the pollution doom, obviously, it comes to your mind, of course, okay? When the layer of pollution over the urban areas, okay? That's basically what comes to your mind as well. You can see that this concept are actually linked, okay? The World Health Organization says urban heat islands, which both raise temperatures, trap pollutants, will have to disappear in the century if future generations are to live in health lives in cities. A possible way of addressing the issue of urban heat islands is introducing green strategies. Green strategies are sustainable and do not harm the environment. So here what they've done is they have explained the concept. I think you can see from the first sentence here. Thanks to a phenomenon that makes urban areas hotter than their surrounding areas. What is urban heat island? This is when temperatures of the urban areas are higher than the surrounding rural areas. That's basically what we're talking about. And it has been defined here, but indirectly you can see. And they have moved on to highlight some of the reasons why the temperatures in the urban areas are higher as compared to the rural areas. So please learn to go through the extract. They've got information. They can help you to recall, even if you have forgotten about the concept, but you can be in a position to remember, okay? From what I've read, try to link it to the concept. They are giving you the answers indirectly. So let's move on to the question so that we do not waste time. Define the concept urban heat island. So here is a definition of a concept. You have to make sure that you get it right. You have to make sure that you get it right. So this is when the temperatures of the urban areas are higher than the surrounding rural areas. Okay. You can also say an area of higher temperature over the city that decrease towards the rural area. The phenomenon that makes urban areas hotter than the surrounding rural areas. That's basically what this is all about when you talk about urban heat island. You can see here urban areas hotter than the surrounding areas. So it's also part of the definition of this concept of urban heat island. Okay. So, all right. So if you can check, all right, let me do something like this. Assuming this is our central business district. All right. So you can see that the temperatures are high within the CBD, but as you move away from the CBD, you're going towards the periphery, you would find that the temperature decreases. This is more or less the same concept that we're talking about. Obviously here, that's where you have got the rural urban fringe. Obviously, this is where your rural area is starting, of course, which divides the rural in the urban. So the temperatures are higher, but as you move away, the temperature decreases. That's basically what we are talking about. So we are saying now the temperatures of the urban areas are higher than the surrounding rural areas, or area of higher temperature over the city that decrease towards the rural area, towards the city's high, and decrease as you move away from the CBD, from the city. That's basically what we are talking about. Urban areas, higher temperatures than the surrounding rural areas. Okay, that is your concept. You get your 2 marks. Give one quotation from the extract that suggests that poor planning is responsible for increasing temperature in cities. 1.5.2, the global focus, you can see here, the global focus of city infrastructure has been on cars. The global focus of city infrastructure has been on cars. That's one from the extract. Remember, you are not not just writing what you think, but you are taking the answer from the extract. You have to make sure the global focus of city infrastructure, the global focus of city infrastructure, the global focus of city infrastructure has been on cars. Yeah, and okay, and on getting as many people as possible into tall buildings. That's another point as well that you can take to get your mark. Or you can say heat from decades of poor planning. Heat from decades of poor planning. That's also something that is relevant to the question. Office blocks overcrowding occupants. Office blocks overcrowding occupants. You can see we got it here. Then tarred roads crisscrossing. Tarred roads crisscrossing. We got it somewhere here. Let's check. Tarred roads. Ebenham. Okay, I'm checking that one. Tarred roads crisscrossing. So all those answers are correct, but you have to write only one to get your mark. Okay. Then why is urban heat island effect more concentrated at night? Why is it more concentrated at night? 1.5.3. So we are now saying subsidizing air at night pushes the warm air close to the buildings in the city, which results in more heat being concentrated. That's basically what we are talking about, which result in more heat being concentrated. That's basically what we are talking about. I want to show you something from the paper that I did a few days ago, so that at least you can have an idea of what exactly I'm talking about. You can have an idea of what exactly I am talking about. Just a moment. Almost there. I'm almost there. Just a moment. I want to share something with you so that at least you can have an idea. So basically what we are saying now is this is during the night. Okay, this is during the night and this is during the day. This is during the night and during this the day. So it's saying now, why is it concentrated during the night? That is what the question is saying. That is 1.5.3. Why is urban heat island more concentrated at night, 1.5.3. This is at night, sink warming air from anticyclone. Okay, what can we say there? We are saying subsidizing air at night pushes warm air close to the buildings. You can see the warm air close to the buildings in the city, which results in more heat being concentrated in small area as compared to here, what is during the day. But here we can say that it's what? There's too much subsidization, there's a lot of sinking air, which means now subsidizing at night pushes the warm air close to the buildings in the city, which results in more heat being concentrated in small area. Is concentrated here in this dome shape, you can see, but here you can see it's more fast-paced, okay, right, which maintains a mushroom shape. Okay, weaker convection currents at night. Weaker convection currents at night concentrates heat island effect. Here the convectional currents are strong, that's why you see it's not that concentrated as compared to here. So here the convectional currents are weak, that's why you see there's too much subsidization that is taking place. There's a lot of sinking air because it's during the night. Subsidizing air traps the heat between buildings, so which means there are a lot of sinking air here. What does it do? It traps a lot of heat between the buildings. So that's basically what this is all about. That's how you can respond to that question. I was just using this just to answer question 1.5.3, which is why is the urban heat island effect more concentrated during the night. So we have said that subsidizing air at night pushes the warm air close to the buildings in the city, which results in more heat being concentrated in small area, or weaker convectional currents at night concentrate the heat island effect, and subsidizing air traps the heat between buildings. That's what we're talking about here. Then 1.5.4, discuss one negative effect of urban heat island. What is just one negative effect? Okay, negative effect of urban heat island. Okay, we are now talking about number one, the heat related illnesses like heat exhaustion, the heat stroke. That's one negative effect of urban heat island. We can also talk about increased mortality rates during heat waves, which means a lot of people are likely to lose their life because of the heat waves. We can also talk about respiratory problems due to poor air quality. Remember, it is also associated with pollution, of course. So there's respiratory problems due to poor air quality, dehydration and cardiovascular stress, increased demand of air conditioning. These are some of the challenges that are negative for urban heat island. High electricity consumption during peak hours. We can also talk about increased energy cost, increased pollution and acid rain. These are some of the things that you can actually talk about. You can write one from the one that I've said. That is the answer for 1.5.4, which is discuss one negative effect of urban heat island. Then 1.5.5. in a paragraph of approximately 8 lines. So this is a paragraph question, guys. When you are writing a paragraph question, make sure you write it in form of a paragraph. Do not write the answer in point form. Write it in form of a paragraph. Do not write it in point form. Write it in form of a paragraph. Okay. The question reads, provide, in a paragraph of approximately 8 lines, provide sustainable green strategies. Okay. Referring to the extract that can reduce the heat island effect. So you can see the last part of our extract. It reads, a possible way of addressing the issue of heat islands is introducing green strategies. Green strategies are sustainable and do not harm the environment. So what are these green strategies? What are these green strategies? What comes to your mind is when you talk about the green strategies, we are talking about something that is environmental friendly, that reduces pollution. That is what basically what we are talking about. So what are some of these green strategies that can actually be given out as strategies to reduce the heat island effect that has been suggested from this extract? So we can plant more trees to absorb more carbon dioxide. That's what we can do. We can adopt the planting of trees, which is afforestation. We can plant more trees to absorb more carbon dioxide. So by that, we are reducing the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, because obviously we know this issue of urban heat island, or even the concept of global warming, this excessive emission of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which traps the heat, which results in higher temperatures. So the moment we plant trees, which means the trees will help in absorbing more carbon dioxide, which means in that way, we are also reducing the heat island effect. That's basically what we are doing. We can also establish roof gardens and vegetable gardens on high-rise buildings. It also has the same effect of absorbing carbon dioxide. We can also create parks and green belts in the urban area. That's what we can also do. It has more or less the same some effect that the trees has on absorbing more carbon dioxide. We can reduce carbon emission in urban areas by making use of solar energy, which means we are now saying let's move to the clean sources of energy, like your solar energy, because most of the energy is coming from coal. So we are now saying now let's use solar energy as an alternative. This will reduce the carbon emissions in urban areas by making use of solar energy. What do we do as well? We can also reduce emissions in urban areas by making use of wind energy. We are looking at alternatives, solar energy, wind energy, that in itself will reduce the heat island effect. What else can we do? We can replace concrete tar surfaces with cobblestones, which allow infiltration of water and cooling through evaporation. Okay, that's basically what we are doing to do. Because why? Because mostly in urban areas, there's a lot of artificial surfaces, which results in high temperatures, which also affect also the rate of infiltration of water and cooling through evaporation. Okay, that's basically what we are saying. We can promote urban farming. That will result in more evapotranspiration and cooling of temperatures. Okay, that results in more evapotranspiration and cooling of temperatures. We can encourage the use of public transport, cycling, to reduce the number of vehicles on the road. So we are now saying, now look at how many people are driving their private cars. So the moment we actually implement public transport system, we encourage people to cycle to work, which means we are reducing the number of vehicles on the roads, which can also reduce the impact of urban heat island. What else we can do? We can also use of reflective paint on buildings and roofs, which means it also reduces the amount of heat that is absorbed, hence reducing the urban heat island, the heat island effect. Okay, what else can we do? We can also modernization of buildings with greener materials, which means that greener materials will help in also absorbing carbon dioxide. That's also in a way reducing the temperatures within the urban areas. Okay, we can also encourage the use of hybrid cars, which produce no pollution. We can also bring about green policy to be introduced in all legislation. That's what we can also do, green legislation, which means the company, they also have an obligation to protect the environment, to make sure that they minimize pollution to the environment, to make sure that in all their systems, they try to eliminate pollution, to make sure that they also contribute to less pollution and carbon dioxide emission into the atmosphere. So a green policy should be included in all the legislation in terms of the products that they are making, in terms of their production systems as well. So the green policy will be included in all legislation. We can also include legislation, the more you pollute, the more you pay as well. We are introducing the fines. We are also introducing the pollution in order to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide emission into the atmosphere. We can also bring about awareness and education campaigns on green policies, incentives on going green and eco-friendly products. That's something that we can also do. Which means we can also exempt taxes on those companies that are producing eco-friendly products, or we can exempt or reduce the tax that they pay. So in that way, we are giving incentives for growing green or eco-friendly products in terms of how their systems operate, how their production systems operate, and also the product that they produce. We can also try by all means to give incentives through the government by reducing tax or by exempting them from tax, which means the less they pollute, the less tax they pay, or if they do not pollute at all, they will not pay tax. Those are some of the things that you can actually do. So boys and girls, I think this takes us to the end of our 1.5 question, which was focusing on the concept of urban heat island. So please go through this. Then if you've got any comments, please feel free to comment. I welcome all criticism, whether positive or negative. Remember, I'm not the messiah of the subject. I'm here to learn from you in as much as you are also here to learn from me. So we can only do better as a team. I cannot improve if I'm not criticized. I cannot improve if I'm not criticized. So all criticism is welcome, as long as we are doing this to make sure that those learners that are writing this year pass, as long as we are making sure that we are helping struggling learners. We are also helping learners when they're choosing subject, so that they will know the importance of geography. Not only is it is it easy, but it also covers, it can merge with commercials, it can merge with sciences, it can merge also with humanities. So it's an easy subject that if you can do it, you are guaranteed to pass. You can see with the way that we are interpreting the question, you can also see with the way that we are doing the discussion, the material that we are providing, that we are availing on the social media, so that all the learners will have access to the information without paying, just by going through the videos. You can learn a lot. You can pick one or two things. I know there's a lot of teachers that are giving content on social media. Please try all of them. No one is the messiah of the subject. If you can listen to all the educators that are doing this, the same thing that I'm doing, then obviously I'm 100% sure that you'll be in a position to have a better understanding of this concept. Please go through all the videos, not only my videos, but of other educators as well, who are helping in making sure that you understand and also develop a passion on the subject. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.